Welcome back to the channel, you guys. In one of our recent videos, we installed these grill lights on our F-150, and though they were a huge success and a lot of people do like them, there were a few comments that said they should be tinted black. Well, AM Off-Road heard you guys, and they did create a kit, and today we're going to install that. Now, this install process will be a little bit different than the first grill lights we put on the F-150 Tremor, as AM Off-Road now has these headlight taps that go right in line with your your OEM headlight connectors, and then we're gifted this little harness here that tap right into our grill lights. Now, some differences between these blacked out grill lights and the white ones we previously put on is these no longer have the white LEDs, they're purely amber. You have your amber daytime running lights and your amber sequential turn signals, and tapping them into this should give us full function, as well as the option to hook them up to our auxiliary switches as well. So let's go ahead and get the install process started. I'm going to time lapse a lot of this because I do have a first video that goes into great detail how to mount these onto your truck, but we don't need to watch it again twice. So I'm going to do a bit of a time lapse of the install of the grill lights on the truck, and then we'll work on the wiring, and that'll be more in depth. So to start, we're going to rip out the old grill lights here, get the new ones all installed, and then we'll focus on the wiring. Okay, so now that we got those grill lights out of there, we're gonna put our 3M tape on our new lights, and we're gonna do it the same way we did the other lights. All right, so I got all my 3M tape on, and not the hardest process, but not the easiest either. It'd be nice to see these lights have the 3M tape already on them from the factory, but get yourself a nice sharp box cutter knife. And as you can see from these ones, the 3M tape is still on here, so it does hold on quite well, so you don't have to worry about them falling off. And I had to use quite a bit of force to get these off of the grill. So we know they work, we know it's effective, but it would be nice to see these, a cleaner cut and just more of a smaller strips from the factory, that's all. And like I said, if I'm going too fast with this install, revert to the previous install video. I got a very detailed installation. This is just a quick video that you should still be able to follow along to get these tinted grill lights installed. And if you do have any questions, make sure you guys comment below. I will do my best to answer. But let's keep it going. I'm going to try to strip off this red film here and then get these lights mounted in here. And as I was mounting these, I kind of figured maybe I should install one of the white ones back on the other side. We'll quickly power these up so you guys can see the difference between the tinted and the white grill lights, so you have a better idea of which one you should purchase. And then I'll plug it in using the old harness since it's kind of usable still. And I'll tie this to my battery booster. So you can see that there's obviously some subtle differences between the white one and the tinted one. This one being a bit brighter, not too crazy. In my opinion, this was almost a little bit too bright to begin with. This is a lot more subtle. It'll look nicer as a sequential turn signal as well as the daytime running lights. I'm gonna turn on the headlights to see how much of a difference there is between this tinted one and these amber daytime running light markers in the headlights. And that's how it looks compared to the headlight as well as our Raptor grill lights. So whatever your personal preference is, if you guys like the brighter look, go with the white lights. If you like the darker look, then go with this. You also have to keep in mind how it looks when they are off. This is obviously a lot more subtle than this. If you like the white look, then by all means. Remember, these ones also have the white daytime running lights. These do not, so I can't compare the whites because of that reason. We can only compare the ambers. I really like the dark look compared to the white look. This is a lot more subtle. It matches the overall theme of the front end of the truck a little bit better. And not that I'm against this, I just think this suits the truck overall a little bit better, especially with the type of build that I'm going for. So let's keep it going. We'll get the other one all mounted up and then we'll work on the wiring. And that just looks so much better. The black complements the grille that much more than the white does. And I can't wait to get these lights turned on and see how everything looks once we're done. So what we'll work on next is running our wire to each side of the headlight. So this clips into our grille lights on each side, and this goes into our left headlight or our passenger headlight, and then this side goes into our driver's side. And then this little individual red wire here will run to our auxiliary switch. That way we can turn these on whenever we want. So the wiring part will be very straightforward. The hardest thing is making everything look good. So we got our black electrical tape here to try to make everything blend nicely, and we'll put some tie wraps in there to tie it all up nicely. So I'm gonna take my electrical tape right off the bat here and get this all cleaned up. So push these through the bottom of the grille. So last time we ran the cables up the side, but we didn't have these bigger connectors on the end. These will not fit through that hole that we previously went through. So this time we're gonna be shooting down the bottom of the grille. There's a bit of a seam here. If you push your fingers, you can kind of go through it, and then you can get the wire pushed through it. And then what we'll do is we'll run the wire along the back side of the bumper here, right to the headlight. Okay, so same thing this guy. We'll just push it right down to the bottom here. So you can obviously take your grille off and it might make things a lot easier, but it is also a lot of work taking your grille off. So I'm gonna try to show you guys the easiest way to do this without having to disassemble your whole front end. Now that we have our two wires here, we each gotta get them to the back of our headlights. So let's find a nice route that we can shoot down and get them basically to the back of our wheel wells now. All right, so we got our wire ran to each side of the headlight, and there's actually a very simple path you can use. Once you have your wire poked through the bottom, all you have to do is grab it, you put your hand in here, and then you just work it over top of your chassis beam right here, and then you have a clear path to your headlight. We'll get it all tie wrapped up in here and have it looking very nice so it's not flying around, it's not loose in there. Once we have our cable run, you just want to grab a 7mm and take off these bolts here. And then I'm going to reach my hand up here. You should be able to feel your big harness going to the back of your headlight. And then once you have it unplugged, you should be able to pull the whole thing right out. And then we're going to take our newly provided AM off-road headlight harness and we're going to tap it right in here. Once you hit a click, slide that red thing back in. And now you have a functional lighting cable for any auxiliary lights you want on your truck. Obviously, we're gonna be hooking up this guy right here to it, just like so. And then once you're done that, you can plug this right back into your headlight. And then there's the click. So we'll button this all up after. Let's go do the other side. We're gonna take off all of this tape that we just put on so we can separate our auxiliary wire from our headlight wire. And we'll have to find a way to get this back up to our engine bay. What I'm gonna do very quickly, just throw a fish tape down here. And you can see it right here. I'm just gonna quickly tie this wire onto it and then we'll pull it up. Just like that. Then we do the exact same as the other side. And in the engine bay, all we have to do is just quickly tap this onto our auxiliary wire. We'll throw our T-tap on it, and then we'll throw it on the previous auxiliary wire we were using for the white ones. All right, if we did everything correctly, this should all work properly. All right, so if I turn my left turn signal on, that works. If I do the right turn signal, there's no issues with that. And if I do my upfitter switch, there's no issues with that. So they'll work on the turn light functions, they'll work on the auxiliary functions, they do not work on the daytime running light functions. I am personally okay with that. Like, to be honest with you, I don't want these on all the time. I'd rather choose to have these on with my auxiliary switch and then the turn signals work when they should. I'm totally fine with that. And even with the auxiliary switch still on, the turn signal still takes priority and you can still have the sequential turn signals while the auxiliary light is on. And I might be wrong about this. Maybe AM Off-Road designed this to work exactly how it is, with the auxiliary switch as well as the turn signals. I thought that maybe these would have DRL still built into them. They just wouldn't be white, they would be amber, but maybe I'm wrong. And maybe AM Off-Road can comment in the comment section to let us know if there should be daytime running lights. I'll make sure to pin that comment if they do. Because these are Tremor specific grill lights, I don't think anyone's gonna be upset that they'll have manual control over these. I think it's more or less preferred. So let's wait until it gets a little bit darker out, you guys, then I'll pull out the truck and we'll see how it all looks. All right, it is plenty dark enough out here and the mosquitoes are eating me alive, so we'll try to keep this pretty quick. So these are the auxiliary switch right now. This is what it looks like with the auxiliary switch on. And I just have the park lights on currently. We'll turn the headlights on in a minute, but I'll give you guys an idea of what it looks like with sort of all your lights on if you decide to run your truck like this. And very, very happy with how it all turned out, you guys. It is quite bright at night. It's not so visible during the day, not nearly as visible as the white ones, but I'm totally all right with that. And like I said earlier, I think the tinted version doesn't stand out nearly as much. It's not nearly as bright as the white ones, which it's more subtle in my opinion. The other white lights were a little bit too bright and they almost overpowered the sort of daytime running light markers on the headlights as well as the Raptor grille lights. So let's go turn on the hazards and then we will show the turn signals again. And with the hazards on and the headlights on, this is sort of where our front end setup is going to look like at night. Whether using your left or right turn signal, this should give you an idea of how bright everything is. So the grille lights are a very nice addition to the grille. And now I have to make a decision almost, do I, maybe put these on auxiliary so these aren't always on at the same time? Because they're a little bit conflicting. There's a lot going on. I mean, just in general, there's a lot of lighting on this truck at this point. And we're going to have to tone her back at some point or start taking stuff off. And then maybe we start doing some giveaways on some of the accessories that we have on the truck that we no longer need, or kind of moving on to the next thing. So we got the sequential running boards, and then if I had a turn signal on, we'd also have the sequential tailgate bar down here. So a lot going on in the truck, and I'm gonna have to start sort of dialing it back a little bit and figuring out what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. But I have enjoyed installing each and every one of these mods, and I do really like them. But when you start doing too much, it all starts getting a little bit too busy and then taking away from each other. So let me know in the comments, you guys, what mods should I start getting rid of? What should I keep? What do you think would make this truck a little bit better? We do have more stuff coming in the future, so we do have to prepare for that. But hopefully that video gives you guys a good idea of what you can expect out of these tinted grille lights from AM Off-Road. I'm getting eaten alive out here. I'm sure you can tell in the video there's a lot of mosquitoes in the screen. So I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys have any questions or concerns, make sure you guys comment below. I will answer. And as always, guys, thank you so much for being here.